Hello everyone, welcome to another Manny Explains video. Today we're going to be learning all about how the fight phase works. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell in the corner so you know each time I release one of these videos. So let's go into the fight phase. I'm not going to cover the charge phase here, that will be done in another short video because there are quite a few steps in both the charge phase and the fight phase that we're going to try and learn in depth. Let's show you on the board what the fight phase entails. In this example here, we have a unit of Deathwing Terminators and a Librarian on the Dark Angel side, and we have a unit of 5 Orcs. Let's pretend we are the Orcs. Here in the fight phase, the first thing to remember is starting with your opponent, so with the Dark Angel player, you alternate selecting units to fight with. When a unit fights, it piles in, makes its close combat attacks, then it consolidates. If one player has no more units left to fight, then their opponent fights with their remaining units, and after all that is finished, we go on to the morale phase. However, there's a key thing to remember here, and that is charging units fight first. So let's say we are the Orcs and we have successfully made a charge. This is how we have finished our charge. We have finished within engagement range of one model from each unit we declared our charge against. So our charge was successful, and now we're in there. Then, fighting. When you select a unit to fight, it first piles in. So that's the first step of the fight phase, is piling in. Now what happens when you pile in is you can move up to 3 inches with each model in your unit, but you must end this move closer to the closest enemy model. And the reason why you want to do this is for the next step, which is which models fight. Now in which models fight, it states a model can fight if it is in engagement range of an enemy unit, like these 2 Orcs at the front. They're within engagement range of the enemy units. Or a model can fight if it is within half an inch of another model from their own unit that is within half an inch of an enemy unit. So you'd want to pile in here because at the moment, the 3 Orcs at the back would not be able to make any close combat attacks here because they're not within half an inch of a model in their own unit that is within half an inch of the targets. So if this guy shuffles forward a little bit, he is now within half an inch of these, and this one over here is within half an inch of the Librarian. So if we were to pile in up to 3 inches with these, I could finish my pile-in move somewhat like that. So now these 2 are within half an inch of this one, and this one is within half an inch of that one. And that means every model in my Orc unit can now make attacks. The next thing to check is the number of attacks. The number of attacks made by each model that can fight in the unit will be on their selected datasheet. After this, we select targets. Now, if the attacking unit made a charge move this turn, which we have, its models can only target units it declared a charge against. So in this instance, it's both of the units that we've gone into, or units that have performed a heroic intervention this turn. Then you select targets for all attacks before any attacks are resolved. Now the key reason for this would be, I couldn't attack with this one Orc into the Librarian first, see how he gets on, and then say, oh, this boy will now attack that Librarian too, because I've almost killed him. I would have to say, these 2 over here are going to fight the Librarian, and these 3 over here will put their attacks into the Deathwing Terminator squad. I would have to allocate all of my attacks before I rolled any of them. If a unit targets multiple units, like in this situation, all attacks against one unit must be resolved before resolving attacks against the next. So that would mean if I were to fight 2 into the Librarian and 3 into the Deathwing Terminators, I would have to roll all of the attacks either into the Terminators first or into the Librarian first. I couldn't do a few attacks into each and see how we're getting along. So your opponent has to decide if they want to use command points and stratagems and such as you go at the start when you declare who you're attacking. The next step is to select weapons. Each close combat attack is made with a melee weapon. A model makes attacks using the close combat weapon profile if it has no other melee weapon. And a close combat weapon profile is the following. Its type is melee, the strength is user, the AP is 0, and the damage is 1. So it's the strength of your model with 0 armor penetration and 1 damage. That is the attack you attack with if your model is not equipped with any melee weapons. If a unit attacks with multiple weapons, all attacks made with weapons that have the same profile must be resolved before resolving attacks with the next. So for example, this one over here that has a power claw would have to do his attacks first, and the rest of them would have to go after, or the rest of them would attack first and then the power claw would go at the end. I couldn't mix and match like before. And the final step is consolidation. When a unit consolidates, you can move each model in the unit up to 3 inches. This is a consolidation move. Each model must finish its consolidation move closer to the closest enemy model. A model that is already touching an enemy model cannot move, but still counts as having consolidated. Remember that a unit must finish any type of move in unit coherency. So here, for example, let's say for argument's sake, this Terminator died, and this Terminator died, and the Librarian did not die. What I would be able to do here is consolidate, but I have to go towards the nearest enemy model with each of my models. So for this boy, and this boy here, this Terminator is the closest model. But for this boy over here, the Librarian is the closest model. And you may think, oh, this could break unit coherency. However, you have to remember, this boy moving in this direction to keep coherency would still be coming closer to the Terminator than his starting position. Over here, he is roughly 2.5 inches away from the Terminator. If he moves in this direction, he is now 2 inches away from the Terminator. Then these could base them, so the Terminators cannot pile into them any further than they already have, and the boy on the end could go into the Librarian like so. So that is how the Orc unit would go through all the stages of the fight phase. So that was the fight phase explained in the simplest possible way. Here are a few scenarios that we may encounter. So now let's imagine we are the Dark Angel player. So we have a unit of Terminators and a Librarian. They have both charged into this Orc squad, and there is a squad of Looters back here. Now, if I wanted to fight with my Librarian first, say, my Librarian could pile in to get closer to the nearest enemy model. Then, for argument's sake, let's say my Librarian killed the entire Orc squad. Kills all 5 models, and now there is nobody left. He could now consolidate 3 inches towards the closest enemy unit, which would be the Looters. So he could stand like that. And you may think, in this situation, now he's just going to get shot. Well, we have a unit of Deathwing Terminators, don't forget. And because they made a charge move, even though there is no enemy unit left within an inch of them, within engagement range of them, because they made a charge move this turn, they are still eligible to go through the steps of the fight phase, meaning they can still pile in. They can't make any attacks because there's nobody to make attacks against, but they can then consolidate. So they would be able to go 3 inches towards the closest enemy unit when piling in. So that is 3 inches towards the Looters. Sort of like this. Noticing difficult ground does not reduce your pile-in and consolidation distance by 2 inches. And then they would also be able to consolidate 3 inches, even though there's nobody there for them to fight, going again 3 inches closer to the Looters. And now they're protecting the Librarian, so he won't get shot by the Orc unit. Just one really cool tip here for something that you could do if you were charging. Now, units cannot usually, without any sort of ability or stratagem, fall back and shoot for any reason. So here we have an Orc unit that's really good at shooting. We have a unit of Looters. Now, the Terminators, imagine we are the Dark Angel still. So we have just made a charge with our Terminators into this Orc unit over here because the Looters were too far away. We could not declare them as a charge target. We could only declare the boys, and we have made our charge. However, it's really cool. There's something called tagging. And if you tag a unit, it means getting within engagement range of them. Even though it's a unit that we cannot fight into because we didn't declare it as a target of our charge, if we manage to get within engagement range of it with either our pile-in or consolidation move, yes, they can hit us in combat, but they won't be able to fall back and shoot unless they have some sort of ability that allows them to. But even if they have a stratagem, at least you're costing them CPs for them to be able to do something like that. So in this situation, we have charged with our Deathwing Terminators. Here you'll notice this model on the very end, the closest enemy model to him would be this boy over here. And if he moves, at the moment, he is roughly 4 inches from that model. If he moved 3 inches in this direction, getting closer to the looter, he is now 2.5 inches from that boy there. So he started 4 away from him and he's ended his pile-in move 2.5 away from him. So he has fulfilled all of the requirements of a pile-in move, but you'll notice he is now closer to the looter model in this squad. And the rest of the squad would, of course, pile in as such. And then if we manage to kill the orcs here with our attacks, what we can do, or even if not, I will leave that one boy there. Say the one boy survived. So there's a boy that survived in the squad that we're attacking. But you will notice this Terminator on the end is still closer to the looters now. So when I make my consolidation move, of course, these Terminators would all have to go closer to this orc over here. But this one could go that way towards the looters. Now you'll notice I have kept my unit coherency, but also we have engaged the looter squad over here. And that means they can hit us in combat, but we have 2+ arm saves because we're a tough Terminator unit. But that unit is now locked with us and they cannot fall back and shoot next turn. This is one final tip I'd like to leave you with today, guys, and it is trapping. So, in this sort of situation here, we have a Death Guard Myphitic Blight Hauler. Now, I know this thing can shoot at units within engagement range of it, with suffering the -1 to hit. However, I don't really care about my chainsword boys here. I know they're not much use to me in this game because I'm playing a lot of vehicles, say. Now, this thing has got a multi-melter and a missile launcher. I don't really want that to be shooting at my Storm Speeder because it can do a lot of damage to my Storm Speeder. So how do I prevent this? Say my chainsaw squad here, they have made a charge. As you can see, they have ended their charge movement in engagement range of this Myphitic Blight Hauler. I know I can't kill it in combat because I just have some chainswords. However, I can trap it. Now, trapping requires a little bit of skill, and it's mainly a technique called tri-pointing. Now, tri-pointing, if you can get around the 3 sort of like triangular points of a model's base, they cannot fall back through the gaps in your unit. So, let me just show you. If this model over here moved 3 inches closer with a pile-in move, and this model moved 3 inches closer with a pile-in move, and these two here did the same thing. Now, I fought, and as you can see, only one can actually fight because the others are not within ½ an inch of him, so they cannot fight, and they're not within engagement range of the hauler. So here I failed to kill it. Now, I can consolidate. This model over here, again, moves closer to base it there. This model moves closer to base it there. And this model here moves closer to base it there. Now, that is what we call tri-pointing. Here, the Myphitic Blight Hauler cannot, without pushing my models out of the way, cannot fall back. But you'll notice I'm not in unit coherency. And that is because these two can also move closer. Now, they don't necessarily have to have anything to do with the trapping here. They don't have to touch the Myphitic Blight Hauler, anything like that. They just have to keep coherency between the 3 models in my squad that are tri-pointing the Myphitic Blight Hauler. Now we have trapped the Hauler in combat, and it cannot fall back, so it cannot shoot my Storm Speeder. Successful. The last thing I wanted to mention here was also about trapping. So if we did the same sort of situation with a unit of Eradicators here, it is exactly the same because I don't want them to kill my vehicle. But a point I wanted to make there was, here we have a unit consisting of more than one model. However, if I were to just trap one model in that unit, The unit is not allowed to make a fallback move because at least one model in that unit would have to end their move within engagement range of my unit because they cannot physically get out without passing over my bases. So their entire unit would not be able to fall back, meaning I have just stopped the whole unit from firing up my vehicle here.